Okay.
The moment will probably come to me. Like, I'm going away this weekend and I'm like, I hope the moment comes while I'm on the like flight and I'm like, oh, and that's it. So hopefully it's like some sort of a romantic moment like that where I'm staring out into the sunset on my like American
That's
Airlines
how I
flight.
imagine them happening.
Yeah, then let's just keep that image. It's
Sure.
like I need to have the moment by next week in order to prep. So like it needs to happen this week. So I'm trying to engineer it.
But no pressure.
Sure. Again, no pressure.
Welcome to Manage Chaos Podcast, where we give you the startup business rundown in less time than it takes for you to get to work.
We are on episode 2 of our series about getting started, adding joy to life with Taylor Harrington. Taylor is a community experience designer, a speaker, and the biggest cheerleader for doing what you love. She's also head of community at Dreamers and Doers, which is a highly curated award-winning community and PR hype machine. Taylor, we're going to dive right in episode 2, design thinking for non-designers. So I think a lot of people say to themselves, well, I'm not a designer, I'm not creative. How am I going to think about putting on an event, or how am I going to think about creating something if I'm not a designer? Do you think of yourself as a designer, or has that a persona that has grown over time?
Wow, what a good question. I would say that as a kid, I definitely didn't think of myself as a designer. I always knew that I loved people and I loved being a dot connector. But I think that my interpretation of designer is more about how do I create containers that matter for people to have the interesting interactions that they do. And as I've gotten older, I've seen that more and more of how do you lean into that as an art? How do you lean into that as a skill and something that you can get better at? I think a lot of my inspiration of like, how do I design rituals and events and create that type of stuff comes from my mom. My mom has created so many amazing family traditions that I grew up in a family where that was welcomed and that was encouraged and happened all the time. So have I always seen myself as like a designer? No, but I've always seen myself as creative. I think that we are all creative. And if anyone listening hasn't been to a Creative Mornings event yet, they happen all over the world. They have a beautiful manifesto that they always say out loud. They have someone from the audience like come and say it out loud to everyone. That's all about how we are all creative and the different ways that can show up. So definitely check out that manifesto. It's so good.
So your mom and my mom would be like best friends.
Should they meet?
They should probably meet. We should organize this.
Next Dreamers and Doers event.
We used to have birthday parties, and we would have like different craft stations,
Oh,
for the birthday party. And it would be like, puffy paint T-shirts and make a necklace. I think my mom was an experienced designer, and she didn't actually.
Yeah. Well, now she has a new title.
Now she has a new title in her retirement. I'll have to let her know.
Yeah.
The one of the things that I actually truly love about the experiences that you design is sort of your confetti moment, or your extremely special sort of signature thing. No one knows when to expect it or what to expect. It's always a different version of confetti so far. How do you start to think about that one surprise element?
Yeah, I'll give a couple of examples for the listeners. So in the fall, we hosted an event actually here where we're recording in 28th and Park, which is an amazing venue space. And one of the things that I did there is we made these little manifestation globes, which Katrina so lovely brought. So if you're watching the video of this, you can see us shaking them. But these little celebration and manifestation globes were the moment for that event. We've been theming the Dreamers and Doers events that I host. I host them quarterly. And I think that really helps people kind of get grounded in a certain mindset when they arrive. So the fall one was Bold Beginnings. And it's not like it's hyper specific, but as you're on your way there, you might start thinking, what does that mean to me right now in this moment? Am I in a bold beginning? Have I been in the past? Do I want to be bolder? It just helps create a little bit of that context ahead of time. And so the moment was, when I brought out the globes, I said, when you leave, give yourself a quiet moment to really sit with what that beginning is. What is that dream that you're holding? And shake it, whether it's on the subway on your way home, whether it's tomorrow morning over coffee, that type of a thing. So that was, the fall example. In the summer, we did an example where I actually gave out candles to everyone. That one was about celebration. We talked about, what is something that you're celebrating and what are different things that you can celebrate, whether it's a small win, whether it's a big win. And so everyone went home with a candle. And I joked, when you make pancakes tomorrow morning, or when you make your yogurt, or whatever it is, if you're making oatmeal in the morning, put your candle in it. Take that quiet moment to just celebrate, blow out the candle tomorrow. And so for fire hazard reasons, we didn't want to do it all at the same time at the venue space, but also it gave people a moment to go home to. And I think that's something that's really special. This past event in the winter, that one was specifically around this like new beginnings of the year. And with that one, we had these little paper confetti balls.
You did it in a way that the people who have to clean up really loved you. Because it was not little tiny pieces. It was like strings that went out.
They were like, confetti strings. And I passed out these confetti balls, and the idea was that you held them. There was like a little thing to hold. And then you were to scream out loud one word that represented what you're bringing into 2026. And so everyone then screamed their word, and at the same time, all tossed the confetti. And it was a really epic moment. I had no idea how it was going to go. I was like, I literally said, please don't punch each other. But it was very nice from a tidy perspective. And it was really special to see this confetti just suddenly erupt in the room full of nearly 100 female entrepreneurs. I like those moments. We have an April event coming up, and yesterday I did the outline for it. I'm creating the Luma for it and getting that all set up. And I have the theme, but I don't yet have the moment. So I need to think about the moment.
Do the moments just come to you? Is it something that...
Yeah, I do this a lot where I try to separate the logistical stuff that's associated with hosting an event, or even when I post on LinkedIn, I try to separate the like, I'm writing my post from the like brainstorming phase of what do I want to write about? Or with this case with events, it's like, well, what do I want that moment to be? I try to do that separate so that I can have space and time for it. So the moment will probably come to me. Like, I'm going away this weekend, and I'm like, I hope the moment comes while I'm on the like flight, and I'm like, and that's it. So hopefully it's like some sort of a romantic moment like that, where I'm staring out into the sunset on my like American Airlines flight.
Imagine them happening.
Yeah, then let's just keep that image. It's like, I need to have the moment by next week in order to prep. So like, it needs to happen this week. So I'm trying to engineer it.
But no pressure.
Sure. Again, no pressure.
I love when we have episodes where we talk about sales, because I think most people hate sales. Most people hate the concept of thinking that they're in sales, because they have this vision of some old guy as a used car salesman selling them something.
I know the guy.
Yeah, he can visualize it. He can see it. But let's think about the concept of sort of Sonder in sales, right? And so how you apply that to how you are approaching what you view as sales within your role.
Sure. So Sonder is one of my favorite words. It is the realization that every random passerby has a life as vivid and complex as your own.
No, Taylor.
Yes, believe it or not, they do. I've been obsessed with this since I was so little. Like, I remember very vividly, as probably a 6 or 7-year-old, being in the car with my mom. We were driving in my neighborhood, and it was dark outside, and we stopped at a stop sign. And this house was pretty close to the road. And I remember in the dark, this woman was in her kitchen, and I could see her cracking an egg in her kitchen. And I said to my mom, that woman's cracking an egg. And my mom was like, what? And I was like, she's in her kitchen. She's cracking an egg. I'm like, that's crazy that I just saw her crack an egg in her kitchen. Like, what an intimate moment. But I thought it was so fascinating. What's she making? Who's she making it for? What's happened in her day? Like, I was just so curious. And my parents really entertained the curiosity. I mean, I would go into grocery stores and like look in people's carts and be like, who are they making this meal for? Who's coming over? There's just like this curiosity that's just so alive in me about this. And so I can think of so many examples, but I think that the way this connects to sales and how I show up in reaching out in a more general way is we have the opportunity to bring someone into our world. I'll use LinkedIn as an example, because I'm sure anyone who's, thinking about sales, it's like, what's that cold DM I'm sending, or that cold email? And one of the things I try to incorporate anytime I'm reaching out to someone is that peek into my world. It's, hi, this is what I'm seeing outside of my window. Or, hi, hey, waving to you from New York City, where I am sipping on cinnamon tea right now, and this is what's on my mind. Or this is what sparked my interest based on this comment that I saw you share on LinkedIn, or something like that. And I think that humanness, adding that into your sales communication, just suddenly reminds people that sales is really about relationship building. And how do we continue to add that humanness in really small ways? And it shocks people. The amount of times that I've sent a small cold DM on LinkedIn where I mention like, this is what I'm sipping on, or this is the scent of the candle that I'm like enjoying right now. And someone comes back and says, this is the best DM I have ever gotten. This is so weirdly specific, and I can envision you in New York right now. I'm like, great, my job is done.
So perfect.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you.
Now, let me tell you what else I have in mind for us. No, I don't do the like bait and switch.
Yeah.
People want to do business with people they trust and with people who they build a relationship with. And so if you're not planting that seed from the first interaction, first impressions mean so much, then what are you doing?
Yes. So my favorite thing is when we go out to dinner, I'm challenging my husband whether or not people are on a first date or have they been together a long time.
That's so good. I know.
That's the relationship
See,
dynamic. Or are they on a date or are they just friends?
See, my version of this is I say this to my fiance. I'm like, do you think people know that we've been together for 12 years? Like when they see us at dinner, do they think that? Like are the strangers thinking about us? Like I'm curious about the others, but I'm also like,
What is the backstory?
can they tell the romance? But that's the mystery.
Maybe
No
your
one knows.
backstory is amazing.
Right. And you know what? While we're on the topic, I love words. One of my other favorite words, and I think this relates to sales and building relationships, is this word watashiato, which
That's a new
I know
one for me.
that's a new one, right? It's also from the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, which is what Sonder comes from. And it's this idea that we will never know the impact we have in the world, the ripple effects of how we show up, the work we do, the impact we make. Like, we'll never be able to grasp all of that. But what an amazing thing that we can trust that we've made that.
Yeah.
Whether it's like taking the example of you and your husband out for dinner. Let's say, the waiter makes an incredible impression. And you say to them, that meant so much to us. We've had a really hard week this week, and coming out to this date meant so much to us. And you made us feel at home here at this restaurant. And I hope you tell the rest of your team that meant a lot to us.
Yeah.
You had no idea what your words to that person, now that you've kind of broken that, you've shared the impact they made on you.
Yeah.
You don't know what their week has been like and what the ripple effects could be. That's something I keep in mind too when I interact with people, whether it's relationship building, whether it's more like sales or just communicating with community members. You have no idea when you send that message where you're reaching them in their week.
I'm a big fan of the random compliments, especially even on the subway, right?
Yeah.
So if someone has a cool hat or a nice hairdo,
100%.
Something stands out, right?
Yes.
I think it's always great because we all have those moments where we wear something or we do something where we're self-conscious about it. And then we're like, oh, what is everyone thinking? And so the smile that just breaks on someone's face when you're like, I love your outfit, or those shoes are fantastic, or what a great hair color. And it doesn't cost you anything.
It doesn't cost anything.
I wish more people did it. Okay, so now we're at the pre-event ritual. So I love that you already said you're separating sort of the logistics from kind of all the fun moments.
Yeah.
But when that comes into all of your things you send pre-event.
Yes.
Right. And I'm a little spoiled because I've already gotten to experience this. But let's bring the listeners in to your pre-event rituals. So comms you send, how people are welcome to the event. What does that look like?
Wow. I could talk about this literally all day long. That's when you know I'm doing work that is very in sync with my values and what I care about. I try to keep that in mind, that I have no idea where I'm reaching someone in their day. So I use Luma for the Dreamers and Doers events. So with those, I try to think about, as an attendee when I go to other events, where are the missed moments? Where are the things where I'm like, there's an interesting pocket here. What could happen? So one example is here in New York. Wherever we're going to an event, we probably have a least 20-minute journey ahead of us on the subway, whether we're walking there, popping into an Uber. How can I help make that a little bit more magical so when they arrive, there's something like it's already setting them up.
In the mindset.
You're already in the mindset. So one thing I do an hour before an event, I do this with my friends too, when they come over to like my apartment and I'm hosting a little creative gathering or something, is I will send out a playlist in that note. I have two playlists for Dreamers and Doers. I have one where it's all of our podcast hosts in the community. So of course you're included in that. So if anyone is like, oh, I'm a podcast girly, I want to go ahead and listen to this. Now they've got a list of podcasts they can choose from on their way there that are these amazing women entrepreneurs that they can be learning from. But then I also have another playlist that is my Party Vibes playlist. I use this when I host virtual events as well. But this is a Spotify playlist that folks can listen to on their way to the event. And I think it's noticing, like, when I go to an event, I'm always like, okay, like coming here, I'm like, what am I going to do for the next 20 minutes as I'm on my way to this? Well, obviously, I'm going to listen to another episode of Managed Chaos.
Exactly.
What do I want to fill that time with? And so helping people, priming them, for lack of a better phrase, of like what the event is going to be like, giving them those moments. I would say, you know, there are opportunities a day before, a week before, of like, what are you dropping that's just helping them feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more excited. One of my favorite things that I've done in other smaller events, and I think is super practical for anyone listening that might be hosting a gathering for, let's say, less than 20 people, is if you have your hell yes people, which we talked about on the last episode of, I know these 5 people are coming, you can send a little bit of a teaser that those people are coming to start to hype up the others. Oh, this is a little teaser of who you're going to meet and why our dinner party is going to be so magical, or whatever our park picnic is going to be so magical. And so that just helps create that hype around, I don't want to miss this because I trust it's going to be so good. For me, I'm going to get a lot of value out of it. So I love sprinkling in those moments.
I love that. This has been another amazing episode of Managed Chaos Podcast with Taylor Harrington. We are going to keep talking to her. She's not going anywhere yet. There's going to be 2 more episodes. Please like, follow, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and we will see you on the next episode of Managed Chaos Podcast.
Outsourcing your US tech talent shouldn't be hard. With Pobble.io, we deliver high-quality teams on demand and provide huge cost savings to your business. Try it now at Pobble.io. Mention the amazing guys at Managed Chaos when you email us and get a free market data report. Email contact@Pobble.io.